Hey guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. Okay, so here we are again for to witness the Arianespace Soyuz launch from the Guiana Space Center located in South America. So what is special about this mission? Well, this mission has already had experienced two scrubs in the past 2 days basically. Yesterday and day before yesterday it had scrubs. uh, Day before yesterday it was weather, and yesterday it was some problem with their telemetry reception. And now because of their quick turnaround of 24 hours, we are now again uh, near the launch window, and this vehicle must be looking healthy in the launch pad. And when the coverage will begin, then we'll get to know whether we'll be able to launch this thing properly or not. So today we will be seeing this launch, and the launcher which is providing us with launch services is the Soyuz. Here we go. So we can have a look at the Soyuz also. So hi Canon, cheers from Chile, cheers to you, Canon. Uh, so yeah, here is we go. The Soyuz is the medium launcher of the Arianespace, and Arianespace, if you don't know, is the private rocket company which is basically like ULA, uh, handling the launches of ESA and European countries basically. So it was the interesting fact is that it was the first rocket company, commercial rocket company, which was a private company who entered in this rocket business. Okay, so coming back to the rocket, so the capability of lift capability of this rocket is 3.2 tons to geo transfer orbit and 4.4 tons to sun synchronous orbit. And for today's launch, the desired orbit is the sun synchronous orbit, so we are going for there. Now coming to the rocket itself is a three-stage rocket with an optional fourth stage. We have the boosters, these boosters, we have the central core, we have the uh, third stage, and then we have the third stage, and then we have the Fregat upper stage. So for today's mission, we do have this optional Fregat upper stage, which is basically why is it used for, I'll just tell you in a bit. So let's have a look at the boosters. So these are the boosters or the Soyuz. um, the basically it uses RD-107A engines, which runs on Kerolox, kerosene and liquid oxygen as its fuel. And yeah, the same propellant is used for every rocket stage except the frigate upper stage for propulsion, providing propulsion basically. Yeah. And when the interesting thing about this rocket is, what I love about this rocket is during the separation, and I really like to witness that separation from the onboard camera or from the ground equipment. Ground equipment means a camera located on the ground, which is a high quality camera which can zoom onto the boosters. Is that during separation it forms a famous, most beautiful Coriolis cross. If we are lucky enough, then we'll be able to witness that also, because that cross is not formed by any other rocket except Soyuz, and Soyuz is the most reliable rocket till date. And yeah, that's the thing. So this is for the boosters. Then we have the central core. So this is the first stage basically for the second stage for the Soyuz rocket. And this second stage runs on RD-108A engine, and it has a ISP of 286 second, and it has four combustion chambers, as you can see, four combustion chamber and four pre-burner exhaust for that. So these pre-burner exhaust which comes out of it does not get wasted, because this is also used to control the rocket roll basically, and hence providing some effect to the rocket, whole rocket. Okay. Usually what happens in other rocket, this is other rocket for the pre-burner exhaust, it is just discarded and it is not used, but for this one it is used. So it's a good thing about this rocket. Then we can have a look at the third stage. This is a third stage which is a pretty small one but a significant one, as we can see here, because this is the stage which mostly fires in vacuum. It runs on RD-0110 engine, which is an STA launcher, which Soyuz STA launcher, which is going to launch from today. Runs on RD-0110 engine and houses the third stage as well as the avionics for the flight. That's the thing. Okay. Yeah. Then we have the Fregat upper stage. So for today's mission we will be having a Fregat upper stage. So why do we even have this stage and why do we require this stage? So this stage, it extends the Soyuz launcher's capability to provide access to a full range of orbits: medium Earth orbit, sun synchronous orbit, geotransfer orbit, and Earth escape trajectories. So if we have a lighter payload like today, we have a lighter payload of the Falcon Eye 2 satellite, which is a reconnaissance satellite for United Arab Emirates armed forces. That's a spy satellite. And yeah, so the weight for that satellite is around 1.19 tons, and the payload capacity to sun synchronous orbit for Soyuz is 4.4 tons, and that's why it has some, you can say, margin which in which it can incorporate this frigate upper stage. Since it is providing this frigate upper stage with fuels and engine, hence it is capable of extending the launch orbit from the low Earth orbit to sun synchronous or medium Earth or whatever. And it runs on UDMH and NTO as its fuel, which is quite obvious, like, because it has to, this upper stage is designed to be reignited many a times during the flight, and has to be reignited after a long period of time. So it makes sense to have a propellant which does not require a igniter, as well as it is earth storage, as well as it is properly stored in earth without any requirement of cryogenic temperature. Yeah, that's the thing. Then the fairing is nothing but nothing, you can say, of a interesting thing to look at, but yeah, that's the thing. Now we can have a look at the mission profile itself. So any news for Chang'e 5? Yes, we have some news, and I'll be telling you that in a bit. Hi Louis Smith, evening all. Let's try this again. Yes, you are right. Let's just light this candle up, and we have this thing. So yeah. Louis Smith says Soyuz have been a big part of space access for a long time. Now, wonder if Russia will go more private now. Americans have their own commercial capsules. Okay, so Russia and Arianespace had this contract only to launch the Soyuz from the French Guiana Space Center. Uh, to provide a different launch site and hence providing a different orbit, because from the French Guiana Space Center the polar orbit is more achievable. From Russia it is like very hard to do so. So it is better to go from there, and that's why it has have a contract with Arianespace to launch its rockets, the Soyuz rocket, which will be assembled obviously by the Russian scientists but launched by the Arianespace. That's the thing. Then we can have a look at this Soyuz flight itself. Yeah, mission profile basically. It is, yeah. So this orbit is the sun synchronous orbit which it is going, and the customer is the United Arab Emirates armed forces, and the satellite is the Falcon Eye 2 satellite. The Falcon Eye 1 satellite had a failure with the because of the Vega rocket, and hence the United Arab Emirates armed forces requested Arianespace to shift the launch of the Falcon Eye 2 satellite onto the Soyuz, because Soyuz is right now the most reliable rocket. It's the most you can say old rocket, and hence many number of successes and launches, and hence it is, you can say, treated or viewed as a rocket which can assure you a safe spot in a orbit. That's the thing. And it's an Earth observation satellite. That's why I'm saying it's a spy satellite for United Arab Emirates. And we can also have a look at one interesting thing which I must tell you, and you also should be looking at, and it is this: the launch timeline. This is the pretty standard one, jettisoning of boosters, fairing and everything. But after this thing, the first frigate burn is there, the second frigate burn is there, the separation of Falcon Eye is there, but then we have this third frigate burn. So for this third frigate burn, this will this third frigate burn will do, this will basically align its orbit to re-enter the atmosphere, and then the frigate burn will enter the atmosphere and burn up in the atmosphere. That's the thing. Okay, now we can see if we have the launch stream pulled up. Okay, so just a sec here, just a sec. it's it's still going on. It must be, is there any problem with, no, or do we have any problem with the launch time? But they had the instantaneous launch window. It should be starting right now, but let me just see, confirm you. Okay, so yeah, there we go. We have some delay in the webcast. I mean, the webcast begins at 6. Okay, well. It's a very interesting thing. I mean, if they have not scheduled their launch time, then I don't think so they have scheduled the launch time. No, they have not, because the launch window is instantaneous. But what they have done is they scheduled the webcast, and they will be like having the webcast at the very last moment, around 5 minutes, or at t minus 5 minutes or so. So yeah, very strange to see that. Hi Mark, watching from Australia, third time lucky. They're gonna launch this time. Yes, let's hope they launch this time. They had I Arianespace had very bad setbacks for some days now, and they really want to have a comeback and make a comeback, a real strong comeback, and that's what they are aiming for today. Let's hope they are successful in that. uh, okay, so webcast will begin sometime. It will take some time for the webcast to begin. Till then, what we can do, we have some time. Okay, so we can have a closer look at the flight sequence. Right now, after the liftoff, we can see that the jettisoning of the booster, the first stage, will happen at 1 minute 58 seconds, or plus t plus 2 minutes, or you can say. And then the jettisoning of the fairing will happen, and then the separation of the central core will happen. Now after the separation of the central core, there is no mention of this the second stage burn starting, but obviously it has to start. The third stage burn starting, but obviously it has to start, and it will be starting, but there is no mention of it here. So yeah, then at t plus 8 minutes and 48 seconds, the separation of the third stage will happen, and the first frigate burn will happen at t plus 9 minutes 49 seconds. So this frigate burn will be first frigate burn is used to circularize the orbit, as well as yeah, I must say that circularize the orbit. And then the second frigate burn will basically, you can say, no, what will happen? Okay, the first frigate burn will circularize the orbit, as well as raise the apoapsis to the 660 kilometer mark. Then the second frigate burn, which is supposed to happen at t plus 54 minutes, will happen at apoapsis, which will raise the periapsis to circularize the orbit. And after this orbit is circularized, the separation of the Falcon Eye satellite will happen. And when it is done, then at 1 hour 50 minutes, the third frigate burn will happen, which will basically put the um, satellite trajectory to enter the atmosphere. And then there will be the end of the Arianespace mission. That's the thing. Very cool, right? What is the use of small nozzles around the large nozzles in Soyuz? Okay, so you are talking about this, right? Let me just have that for you. I'll tell you what is the purpose. Yeah, so you are talking about this, right? These are some big nozzle and these are some small nozzles, right? If I'm not wrong. So if you are talking turn, rotate the turbo pumps. Now when the turbo pumps are rotated in a very fast manner, because we want the fuel to pump like that, and we want enormous amount of fuel to pump, right? And normal pressurization of the tank, the fuel tank, the normal pressurization of the fuel tank won't be sufficient enough to run the turbo pumps. So that's why we have that mini rocket engine. So we what we do is we have the fuels coming into the mini rocket engine, those smaller one, and then we run the exhaust to the turbines. Those turbines are directly connected to the turbo pumps. So when those turbines rotate, the turbo pumps are rotating, and hence the turbo pumps achieve a very fast configuration for the flight, a very fast rotation configuration for the flight. And once it is rotating that fastly, the actual fuel flows through that turbo pumps and through the combustion chamber, and the engines of the rocket engine are started. So in short, you can say, yeah, like this only, that uh, those mini rocket engines are used to kickstart the main rocket engine. uh, Thanks, Paul Berger, for that $3 super chat. I'm really glad. I just can't tell you so much. Thank you so much for that. It really helps this channel, guys. It really helps. Thank you so much, Paul Berger. And now the Arianespace is showing the live rocket. Is it? Just a sec. Oh yes, it is. Let me switch over to that then. Wow, that's pretty good thing. Here we go. So as suspected, this is on time. The liftoff is scheduled at that time only, but the just thing is that uh, we won't be having the webcast. And I know why people are, and why Arianespace has decided not to have the host webcast, because they were really messing up there. Yesterday also, when they had this red sign, the host just kept on talking. At t minus 5 minutes or so, it was made red on the screen, but and the announcement was also made, but the host kept on talking like nothing happened. And then finally, after some time, they realized, yeah, the screens have turned red and they can't proceed with the countdown now. So I think that's the reason. And obviously those problem with their webcast is because the actual host, that female host which used to host this webcast, is not able to do so because of the COVID situation. And yeah, that's why. And right now you can see the Soyuz on the launch pad fuming up with the fuels and all, and everything is good right now. Wow, amazing. Thank you for the explanation. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me, what for everything, guys. That's what I love. Thanks, Paul Boger. I really appreciate that. Thanks for doing this. I'll enjoy your set. Thanks. Thank you so much for that super chat also, and this appreciation also. Let's hope what happened. Let's see what happens. Okay, right now I can't play this music because of obvious copyright issues. Once this music goes away, then we can, I will increase. Yeah, here we go.
To our friends around the world, and welcome to the webcast. Tonight's live broadcast of Arianespace's 24th flight of a Soyuz, coming to you live from our studio in Paris, and we're very happy to have you with us. We're back tonight for another try, and we have with us two experts from Arianespace who are going to be with us and sharing their expert knowledge all through the broadcasts. But first, we want to go back over to Kourou, where Stefan Israel, Arianespace's chief executive, is standing by. Stefan, if you can hear us. Stefan, welcome to you. How is the situation in Kourou tonight?
Yes, Josh. Very well. So we are now in the Jupiter Control Center. We are with our customers and our partners. We are now at 4 minutes before liftoff. We are focused on the launch. Everything is green. The weather is green. All the parameters we have from the satellite and the rocket are green. So let's wait now the final minutes. And if everything remains green up to the end, we will lift off, and it will be a mission of 58 minutes.
Okay, Stefan, very good. Many thanks. Stefan is going to take his place at work in the fishbowl with his team, and we'll be back with him toward the end of the broadcast. I'm going to take my place with my two experts here. On my right.
Just a small note here that I'll be streaming this launch, okay, but I'll be ending this stream also very soon, because then there is one exciting stream coming up, which is of the Chang'e 5 sampling mission. Basically, the Chang'e 5 will attempt to scoop the moon soil, and that's what I have to stream. So after liftoff and everything, I'll end the stream. Not the stream will not be like a full-fledged one, but yeah, the important milestones we'll be able to see.
Will shape the trajectory into an elliptical transfer orbit, and the end of the burn will happen around 17 minutes after the liftoff. Then we will have a ballistic phase with a loss of telemetry. A passive phase.
But the loss of telemetry is not a big deal. It's
Louis Smith, I have tried to find out the sources, and that's what I'll try to share with you. So let's hope they broadcast. They have planned something, but obviously not on YouTube, their own social media site. So I'll try to do some searching and everything.
The second Fregat boost will circularize the orbit to reach the Falcon Eye orbit. A few minutes after the cutoff, the command separation is sent to release the cloud bond, and the separation will take place.
Guys, if you like the work what I do, you can give this stream a like, thumbs up if you like this, thumbs down if you don't, and subscribe, because on this channel we host live streams of every rocket launch that happens in the space industry, and as well as some other space related events or other space related videos too. So if you are that kind of a person, you can consider subscribing.
The end of the mission for 2 hours duration at all.
okay. Well, watch out for all those milestones.
So guys, we are T-minus 1 minute 36 seconds from the launch.
Innovation, what do you do? What does that mean?
Well, to make it short, it means that I'm working on innovative, sort of exotic mission concepts to be addressed with our next generation of launch vehicles, Ariane 6 and Vega C. For example, going to the moon, which would be your first one for Europe. So that's quite exciting perspectives.
You're going to hear the DDO call out the 1 minute mark.
Attention pour moi, 1 minute.
DDO has
So
just said he's going to call out the 1 minute mark.
they are
DDO
going
is the
on with this
range
launch.
operations manager for the mission.
Stop, à 0 moins 1 minute.
He's just called the 1 minute mark, so we're into the final
happening,
60
guys.
seconds.
It's happening.
And
Finally.
we'll let you watch the mission. We're going to cut away, and we'll be back with you after liftoff. And once Soyuz has begun her mission, enjoy the liftoff, everyone. We'll see you afterward.
Wow, so it's happening, guys. Now we are T minus 30 seconds and counting. Here we go. This has retracted.
Attention pour le début de la séquence d'allumage du lanceur.
Now it's just waiting for the liftoff. T minus 20 seconds, guys. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10.
Attention pour le début de le décompte final.
5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
Ignition and liftoff of the Soyuz rocket to the sun synchronous orbit with Falcon Eye satellite on it, and wow, finally this thing happened, guys. Oh man, really very cool, the views and everything, and I really hope if we can have the onboard camera views also, and it goes into the clouds but lighting up the skies in between, right? Wow.
Well, into the clouds and out of the clouds, and you can still see the fire. And you saw those fine shots, always impressive, no matter how many times you see Soyuz powering into the sky above French Guiana. At liftoff, 307 tons. The DDO saying all is perfect on board, all is nominal. We're going to follow her mass profile because she's going to shed a lot of weight very quickly. Rami, can you describe briefly the launcher for us?
Yes. The launcher is divided in two parts. The lower composite is a tri-stages Soyuz manufactured by Arianespace. The upper composite is a Fregat stage manufactured by
Okay, so right now it is burning, and I don't think so they will be having the onboard camera views, only this animation which we will have. But do look out for those graphs, guys, because last time from that graph only we were able to get that there was some problem with the rocket. So do look out for that.
It is assimilated to a payload as another.
Yes, it has reached the max Q, if I'm not wrong.
Onto a suborbital orbit. After that,
it is approaching now the booster separation at T. Here we go. The booster separation is confirmed.
Successful separation of the boosters, and you saw it on the animation.
Yes.
Central core is firing.
On the screen, our altitude, you can see 53 kilometers up, and our speed, that's vitesse in French, just approaching 2 kilometers per second. The figures coming in from the downrange tracking stations into Rami's office, and we'll have more on that in a moment. Raphael, how many times have you seen a liftoff?
In real?
In real
Once.
life, yeah.
It was in
Only
Ariane
one.
5 from Kourou, and this is something
you were
that
outside.
you really remember.
Yeah. You were outside.
I was outside. I was at 5 kilometers from the launcher. I think this is the closest you can get from the launcher.
4 or 5 kilometers, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
and I
you're
remember.
on board.
Sorry?
Unless you're on board.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I really remember the bright light coming from the sky and
the flight is nominal.
The ground. This is really.
Actually, the flight is totally nominal. We can see from the graph also. So let's hope it remains nominal for the whole mission.
A three-way affair, of course, with Arianespace, the French Space Agency, CNES, and the European Space Agency. Generally speaking, roughly, Arianespace responsible for marketing and operating the launch vehicle, ESA and its member states funding the new programs, and the CNES, the French agency, coordinating all the space-based operations. Next up, fairing jettison. Before that, we are flying north to what kind of an orbit? We're going around the sun.
Exactly.
We're going around the sun, but we are going around the Earth in low Earth orbit, but in a sun-synchronous orbit. So it means that when we launch the satellite there, on this orbit, the satellite will fly by an area, the one he wants to observe, at a certain time during the day. And this time is not going to change.
Here we go. The fairing has been jettisoned, exposing the Falcon Eye satellite.
At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then it's always going to fly by an area at this time, and this time is not going to change.
Confirmation of the fairing jettison.
We have had fairing jettison, right? Thank you, because you have the confirmation of the DDO in your ear. The separation of fairing coming at about 150 kilometers altitude. Our speed now, as you can see, over 3 kilometers per second. Why is the fairing jettison so important? I know it's a key milestone.
Yes, good question, because as soon as the launcher leaves the atmosphere, the satellite doesn't need anymore to be protected. Yeah. As each kilogram is important, the unuseful fairing mass is ejected.
And the second stage, the third stage ignition and the first stage, second stage separation has been confirmed, as you just saw.
This confirmation.
We've had second stage separation. You followed it on the animation, and ignition of the third stage. You see on the screen the names of our downrange tracking stations. The Galileo station is in French Guiana. The Bermuda station, followed by Saint-Hubert, which is outside of Montreal. We'll have a word about them coming up.
Confirmation of the ignitions of the block I.
So we are right on time. The name Soyuz is, of course, familiar to you, going back to the early days of the space race, and Raphael will talk about that in just a minute. It's the workhorse of the Soviet and now, of course, the Russian and the European space program. And Soyuz in Kourou is thanks to a long association between the Russians and the Europeans, yeah?
Yeah, I think it goes back to 1966, when the General de Gaulle, that you probably heard of.
Heard the name?
Yeah. Actually, he had the chance, and he was the first political leader in the Western world to attend a launch from Baikonur, and he actually was so impressed that he pushed for a first-of-a-kind cooperation between French and USSR.
Wow.
And this cooperation became, with time, a unique cooperation between Europe and Russia. And in the years 2000, there was like a very emblematic mission that were launched from Baikonur by Soyuz.
You're talking about the Mars?
For example, towards Mars or towards Venus.
We'll get back to that later, yeah. But go ahead. But go ahead.
Yeah. And then this pushed some discussions about transferring the Soyuz from Baikonur to Kourou, which was very challenging and ambitious idea.
And rather visionary for the times.
Yeah, exactly, because like transferring a foreign launcher in your launch pad, this is, I think this is like really unique in the space sector. And this happened with time, and the first launch of Soyuz from Kourou happened in 2011, so almost 10 years ago.
10 years. Next year, we'll be celebrating 10 years of Soyuz in French Guiana. Romy, where you usually work is an office
and
called
there we go. Yes, as Louis Carter says, we learn every day, and that's why we know why Arianespace is launching this Soyuz, because of that partnership.
Real-time monitoring, and this real-time monitoring of the launcher is probably the most important ground operation during the flight. It allows to check that the flight is nominal and to confirm to our customer that the satellite is separated as expected. Yeah. The data collected by the ground tracking station are immediately sent to the Soyuz Control Center in French Guiana and to the Fregat Flight Monitoring Center.
That's in Moscow.
Yes. About that, presently, 2 colleagues are in Kourou for the real-time monitoring, Adeline Roquier and Thomas Secretin. And 2 other colleagues are in Évry, and not in Moscow due to the pandemic, to collect the orbital diagnosis.
So good all nominal is being called out, and that's what we want to hear.
The position of our next downrange tracking station, it's the Bermuda Islands. We're flying north along the east coast of the U.S. The Bermuda station was a NASA station, I think, renovated in 2018. The European Space Agency first began studying the possibility of launching Soyuz from French Guiana back in 1998. And they started the program in 2004. Coming up on separation and extinction.
And here we go, the third stage engine is shutting down now.
And separation coming up.
Here we go, the third stage separation
confirmation of the extension of the Bloy Ag.
Our altitude, 375 kilometers, our speed climbing to approaching 7 kilometers. Romy, why do we use a Soyuz for this mission?
Separation of the block I.
Separation of the block, okay, so we're doing fine. Why do we use a Soyuz on this particular mission?
Why to use a, okay. For this kind of mission and the need of several boosters, and this range of payload mass around 1.3 tons, Soyuz is perfect.
Perfect. What do you mean perfect?
Perfect
Okay.
because, in particular, due to the Fregat capability, the Fregat stage is very reliable, light, and accurate. It's an heritage of the propulsive system of the Phobos space probe towards Mars. And the Fregat can withstand long coasting
Here we
phase.
go, guys. The frigate stage burning
Saw the
now.
animation ignition
Yes,
of the first
confirmation
scheduled-
of the ignitions of the first.
So, guys, yeah, this is sometime happens.
We will see
This
there'll
thing
be another one
happens.
that we won't see, but
No worries, because this is the backup
tell us a bit about
webcast staff which you are seeing there. That's the thing.
Yes,
Not the
yes.
actual one.
Confirmation
Fregat
de
can perform
l'allumage de
some
So, okay.
complex missions because, as I've said, the Fregat can withstand long coasting phase first and reignitions up to 7. And in a way, this stage will be perfect for this kind of particular mission, which is the SSO orbit.
SSO orbit. Now, we also, one of the ignitions of the Soyuz is going to be to deorbit the vehicle. Is that right?
Yeah,
what's
we
that
save one boost of Fregat in order to re-enter it into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And this is very important because this way we don't leave an additional debris in orbit.
Space debris.
Exactly.
Big
And
question.
We are
Big
actually
issue.
required to do this by the French space law, which is like one of the best in the space sector today.
Yeah.
And you know that this debris is an issue, especially in low Earth orbit, because there are like lots of satellites up there. There are many more constellations. So it's important for us when we do a launch to not leave debris behind and to participate in a sustainable use of space in a way.
Our Soyuz that we're using is the most recent version of the famous Russian launcher that began the space race over 60 years ago. You
And
remember,
one more thing, guys, I would like you to know that the Soyuz which launches from this Guiana Space Center is a different one which is launched from the Russia. And the difference is that they literally use matchsticks to ignite. In Russia, they literally use matchsticks to ignite the Soyuz rocket
all
engines,
is perfect on board.
but not in this
Had,
French Guiana.
First and second core stage ignition, and the second stage and the third stage performed flawlessly, and we're into the first
Yes,
of
the
the,
trajectory looks
frigate
nominal right now.
burns. All in all, and all this time, in over 60 years, all the Soviet and Russian manned missions have been on.
This is nominal, Canon. Sometimes that happens that the altitude goes down because sometimes what happens, it has reached the apoapsis in the orbit, and it is now coming down. But it does not mean it is falling back to the earth. It is just, if it is burning the fuel, so it won't fall back to the earth. So it's completely nominal to go the altitude to for the altitude to go down.
Upper stage, and this will be the 8th launch of Arianespace of the year. I would like to thank Defense and Space, which is our customer, who has signed the contract with Arianespace in 2015.
You've talked about the flight. What exactly is the mission of the Soyuz launcher tonight?
Well, I will say that this is a standard optimization of the trajectory for an SSO flight with an ascent flight of the 3 stage, which has lasted around 9 minutes, and then 2 Fregat boosts in order to inject the satellite in the required orbit. We will have for this mission a last boost to re-enter the upper stage in the atmosphere. And the Falcon Eye satellite will be separated from the launcher at approximately a bit less than 59 minutes of flight.
And how was the campaign? Any highlights? What do you think you're going to remember?
Well, I will say that it has been a long campaign with a long standby phase. We have faced some technical concerns on the launcher, but everything has been overcome by all the teams in due manner, and I would like just to highlight the fact that professionalism spirit of Arianespace and Russian partners teams in order to overcome these difficulties was excellent, and I would like to thank all these people who have worked very hard on this program. The other point that I would like to say is that I would like to thank Airbus Defence and Space, our customer, and Thales Alenia Space, plus the United Arab Emirates teams, because they have all along the program always adopted constructive approaches in all these difficult times that we had with the COVID pandemic situation. And we are now here for this launch of the VS-24 flight, and I would like to wish a very long life to the Falcon Eye satellite.
Okay, so yes, in this weekend the SpaceX will be launching the Crew Dragon, not Crew Dragon, the Cargo Dragon. Yes, the Cargo Dragon will be launched. But before that, I'm really looking forward for the Starship 15-kilometer flight, and yeah, hope it be successful.
All the stages performed perfectly, flawlessly.
And Paul Boger asks, can a Falcon Heavy be launched from this site? See, the problem with the rocket, especially different rocket, is that you have to configure the launch site for the rocket. Means different rockets have different requirements for their launch site and launch pad. So it is not the matter of fact whether it can be launched from there. It's the problem with the launch pad, whether it will be configurable for the Falcon Heavy or not. And I don't know whether it will be or not, because obviously first of all, there is no requirement, because the launches which can happen from the South America, Kourou, which is being done today, can be done from America only. So it is there is no requirement for that. So yeah, there won't be any possibility for that also.
The perigee, sorry, the perigee is the highest point.
No,
Oh, that's the lowest point.
Lowest point. And then
so guys, it's time now. I think everything is cool, and we heard the confirmation of the satellite, means the Fregat stage cut off.
The SSO is a nearly polar circular orbit.
Nearly polar circular orbit. Anything to add about the orbit?
La propulsion est nominale.
SSO orbit?
Okay, so it's nominal. So we can think, we can assume that the launch will be nominal, and we can now shift our focus to the Chang'e 5 sampling mission, which is scheduled in 15 minutes from now. So I think I should be ending this stream right now, and right now the Fregat is burning and everything is looking nominal. So I'll be posting the, oh, here we go. The Fregat has shut off now.
You've got the confirmation. Okay, everything is happening letter perfect.
Yes.
To our passenger.
So yes guys, so that was it for today for this launch. Just come back onto this channel, you will find another live stream, and just stay there. I'll come there in 15 minutes. So I'll post any updates for this mission. If any problem is there or if it is successful, I'll post updates, so don't worry about that. And now we can have our focus shifted to this Chang'e 5 sampling mission. So until then, this is Priyanshu Roila signing off. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and